Hey loves, it's your girl Mariah Sincere, and I am back with another bomb live. Today we are going to get into it, the rise of the black conservative, or shall I say the resurrection, okay? Because this is not the first time in history that black people have been conservative leaning, and I see a major shift going on in the culture. But before I get into that, for those of y'all who are new to my channel, I'm a self love coach who specializes in helping people radically transform their lives. I have been able to do so myself. At the beginning of last year, I was sick and tired of the way I was living, and I decided I wanted to move to Medellin, Colombia. And within 6 months, I did it. So I'm coming at y'all live here from Medellin, Colombia. I've been through it all: toxic relationship, dead end job, traumatic childhood. So if you need any help dealing with those situations, book me for a consultation or one-on-one coaching at thepassportsis@gmail.com. Okay, guys, we're gonna get into it. I'm waiting on y'all to get in here. I got this Red Bull, y'all. It is so hard trying to get back on track for the lunch hour because once I get started working, I do not want to stop. It's such a hassle for me to stop working to do anything that's not like that I'm not compelled to do. And YouTube is very much a choice. But with that said, like I promise y'all, I'm gonna get back into the routine of it. I was supposed to come on here yesterday, but we had a world school field trip that ran over. Guys, if you're just now coming in, please comment, hit the like. What's up? Hey, Olivia. See, okay, at least I caught you early enough to where you're still at work, right? Okay. So, well, I got one person here. Let me go ahead and pull up my Instagram uh while I talk. So, yeah, today I want to talk about a couple of things. So, y'all know Donald Trump gave his speech at the State of the Union address, right? And the way the Democrats behaved was just, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And you know what? I'm a firm believer in the First Amendment. I believe in people having the right to protest, right? But my whole thing is when you are an elected official, when you're serving on Congress, there is a difference between a dog and pony show and you actually being about that action. And I'm seeing a lot of dog and pony show going on. Like, I'm seeing a lot of performative measures, like the Democrats always do. It's always a performance, it's always a theatrics with them. Like, I could see regular citizens behaving the way that they behaved and doing the things that they do, but it's like they rather focus on, first of all, here's my whole thing that the Democrats need to understand. Y'all lost. You lost, and you lost fair and square. You lost even though the media was on your side. You lost in spite of all the corruption. You lost in spite of all of the Nancy Pelosi's tactics and antics. Y'all lost. You lost in spite of basically coronating a candidate and not giving your constituency the opportunity to vote to replace Joe Biden. You lost. You lost. And the problem that I'm seeing with the Democrats right now is instead of them taking this as an opportunity for self reflection and redirection, everything is about let's oppose Trump, let's oppose Trump. But what actual better alternative are they offering people? They aren't offering nothing. Everything is just block, 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 but you're not giving some people anything to hope for and to go vote for. Because in case it wasn't clear in this last election, abortion ain't enough. You immigration, you can't run on that anymore because the American people have spoken. Y'all let it get so bad that they don't want illegal immigration. People who didn't care about illegal immigration before, like myself, began to care. So that's a dead message. You can't talk about that no more. Find something else to talk about. Is what I'm saying. Okay. So I'm gonna pull up a couple of clips. Give me 1 second. Dang. Let me go on TikTok. I got a new computer and I'm like logged out of all of my accounts now. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Cha Cha? Hey, what's up? Yeah. So today our topic, we're gonna talk about how the Democrats behaved at the State of the Union address, and I'm going to talk about the rise in Black conservatives. Honestly and truly, y'all, I have been meeting a lot of offline. I have been meeting a lot of Black people who were Democrat, but they're independent leaning, or they are like Republicans, and they are admitting they are Republicans, right? And the ones who say they're independent leaning, when you start talking to them, they're actually more conservative leaning more than ever, right? And I feel like 10 years ago, or even 5 years or 4 years ago, if you were a Black person to come out and say that you were a Republican or you were a conservative, or even to just support a Republican candidate, because you don't necessarily have to be a Republican to say, I feel like this particular Republican candidate is better than the Democratic alternative this election. Like, it used to be a time where, as a Black person, you couldn't come out and say that. And I feel like it's still some Black people that want to keep us shackled to the pits of hell that was slavery. And I want to talk about that. I feel like a line has to be drawn at this point. And I don't mean like you shouldn't associate with your friends and family who are um Democrats or liberals. We don't get down like that. We are the more accepting, tolerant, will have a discussion with you kind of people. That's kind of how I get down. But what I will say is, I am no longer being quiet when I hear foolishness. When I hear, for example, somebody I was talking to not too long ago was being extremely racist, right? This was somebody who was in my space, was being extremely racist and saying negative things about white people. And it was to the point where I had to stop sis. I had to stop her, because here's the thing: the same thing you're saying you feel like white people have done to you, you're doing it now. You're making differences. You're making assumptions about people's lives and you don't even know them. And I feel like that's the problem. I feel like I was talking to another person who was like, yes, if white people had the opportunity to throw us back in slavery right now, they would. And I was like, really? You think they would? And she was like, Mariah, come on, be for real. And I'm like, no, I'm being for real. I see no reason economically that it makes sense for the majority of white people to be on par with throwing Black people back into slavery, especially considering the fact that back then, when slavery existed, the majority of white people didn't even own slaves, nor did they benefit, and we had a whole war to end it. Why would that make sense that in 2025, all white people in America would just suddenly wake up and say, well, it's time for all the Black people to be in shackles again. We need slaves again. Slavery only benefited the wealthy. As a matter of fact, a big reason why it was even an issue in the United States is because the working class white man felt like he couldn't get a job, or he was having a fight for scraps because the wealthy people in the South did not want to give them jobs. Why would I give you a job when I can just force somebody to do it for free? You got white people right now who are upset with illegal immigration because they feel like they have to compete with these illegal immigrants for jobs. And it's not just white people, it's Latinos, it's Black people, it's other legal immigrants who are here. Why would they be in favor of a system that they don't benefit from, nor will they make any money off of it? It makes absolutely no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And I feel like we have been tricked into having this irrational fear of being put back into slavery. And I understand it happened once. So people feel like, well, it can happen again. but they don't consider the circumstances of the time. There are still slaves around the world right now. The slave trade in Africa never stopped. I've talked to y'all about them tunnels under the United States. But there's no reason that makes sense for us to go back to slavery. And I want us to move on from it. And I feel like anytime as a Black person, you try to get ahead or better yourself and say, I'm going to go get a better education, or I'm going to watch how I speak when I'm speaking in public and when I'm talking to people and how I conduct myself. I'm going to make sure that I go outside the house with my pants pulled up and my hair done and looking clean and looking good and smelling good. And I'm going to make sure that I don't associate with people who are indulging in certain activities and crimes. Like, anytime as a Black person you decide that you want to be a, a thriving in society, you are considered a coon. Anytime that you decide that you just want to respect cultural norms, you are considered a coon. Anytime you try to give yourself an opportunity to just get ahead and be cohesive with the American culture, you are considered a coon. It's like you have to constantly have some type of mindset that keeps you held back 50, 60, 100, or 200 years ago. You have to have these self-limiting beliefs that you can never get ahead just because of the color of your skin. I really wish that I could go in depth with this combo right now, but I'm working. I agree with some of what you're saying and disagree with other parts. And that's okay. We can disagree. We can disagree. I'll say this, my experience has been this. I've always grown up in minority neighborhoods, right? So I've always, first of all, I'm a biracial person. I wasn't raised on my dad's side of the family. Okay. I know my dad. I've talked to my dad. I was not raised on his side of the family. And as a biracial person, right, I have firsthand experience and here's the thing, I'm not saying all of this, like all Black people behave like this, but this is a mindset that I feel like is prevalent. When you are a biracial person, the only way that people will accept you, like in the Black community, is if you think exactly like them. So it's like, if you like, kind of like with the whole Stacey Dash situation, and I don't all the way agree with everything she said, but it's kind of like Black people were fully accepting of her and didn't care that she was biracial and she was Black when they thought she was a Democrat. But as soon as she started talking about her Republican values, now she gets thrown out of the community. And it's not even just biracial people. They do this to other Black people, right? But it's kind of like, me being accepted is contingent upon me agreeing with everything that the Democrats do. And part of it was so crazy to me because if you really sit down and talk to Black people, even the like, I've talked to so many older Black women who are culturally conservative. What do I mean by culturally conservative? They believe in marriage. They don't believe in gay marriage. They don't believe in like, they're on the extremes of not believing in transgender rights at all, right? They're fundamentalist Christians. But when we start talking about politics, they're hardcore Democrats. And when you ask them why, it's just because they believe that Republicans are racist. That's it. But it's like your core values, your cultural values align more with Republicans. But all somebody has to do is tell you that they're going to take food stamps away, and you don't even get food stamps. And then all of a sudden you hate Republicans. I will say that I don't believe that Black people can be racist, since racism is deeper than a feeling. So I I think that Black people feel like because we are not in positions of power, which that's changing, right? That we can't be racist, but racism is a hatred towards another race, right? So you have racism and then you have prejudice. Prejudice means you might not necessarily dislike another race, But there are certain actions or things that you believe that they do and you judge them off of it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you hate them, right? And then discrimination. I think a lot of people confuse discrimination with racism. Discrimination is the action. So this is what discrimination looks like. A person comes and applies for a job at my company, and I decide because they're the wrong color, I'm not even going to give them an opportunity, right? I'm not going to give them the job, even though they're qualified. That is discrimination. And a black person, if put in a position of power, can practice discrimination. But racism has to do with feelings. It has to do with hatred. And I'm not making this up. Y'all can go look this up. So, black people absolutely can discriminate. They can be racist, and they can be prejudiced. And not just black people, any person. Whether or not you can discriminate is determined by whether or not you're put in a position to discriminate. Um, I'll say this too. Every time I've gone around white people don't talk about black people. I'm sorry, they don't. I'm sorry, they don't. This is one thing black Americans need to understand. White people don't care about us like that. Most of the time, they're not even talking about us. I've seen certain situations where white people might joke about black people, but just like in day-to-day conversation, they're not even thinking about us. I'll go be around black people and they're sitting up having whole conversations about white people, just constantly talking about white people. We are more obsessed with them than they are obsessed with. They're not thinking about us. I promise you they're not. But we have been convinced to vote against our own best interests and against our own deep rooted cultural beliefs because we feel like all white people like subconsciously have this internal plot to put us back into slavery. And I'm tired of it because it's a lie. Like I don't walk around fearing for my life, honestly and truly. Even with police encounters, I understand that, for example, with George Floyd and Michael Brown, there have been events that have went on that have triggered us, right? But at the same time, white people have gotten killed by police, and you never see it. You never see it blasted on social media. More white people than black people have gotten killed by police, and you never see it blasted on social media in the same way. It is used to make us constantly paranoid. When I really sit up and think about my experiences with police officers, there have been so many times where I should have at the very least got a ticket and they didn't give me a ticket. I remember one time the police really should have gave me a felony charge for what I did. Okay, because I fled the scene of an accident and called to turn myself in. This is my first accident. I was 18 and I left the scene. That is a felony charge. And those police officers saw that I was a student in college and they didn't want to mess up my life, so they let it go. I've had way more positive interactions with police officers than I have had negative interactions with police officers. But people would have you believe that anytime that you get stopped by a police officer, your life is in danger. And that's not true. Not if you do what you're supposed to do most of the time. And I understand, like in the situation with Philando Castile, he did everything he was supposed to do. But as far as us individually on a day to day, that is such a rare thing to happen. So we're walking around with these irrational fears. It's kind of like watching Final Destination and thinking everything in those movies are going to happen to you all the time, when these are just such rare occurrences. You mentioned black women being against gay marriage. Did you see Funky Dineva's video where he stated that he believes basically all black women are homophobic to some degree? I didn't see that video. And I don't agree that all black women are homophobic. I think people get upset with black women because we say we don't want to date bisexual men. So if we say we don't want to date bisexual men, then we're homophobic. I think the older generations of black women most of them don't like homosexuals at all, right? I think the younger generation of black women were more accepting of homosexuality. Like we rather the men come out and say that they're gay and live their life, but because we don't want to date them, then we're considered homophobic. And I think that that's just people trying to force a lack of black women aren't allowed to have standards, expectations, and boundaries. Point blank. Period. People think that we are supposed to take whatever's given to us. I'd love for you to do a live on the relationship between black women and gay black men one day. I could research it, Cha Cha, but to be honest, like I'll be completely honest, I haven't spent enough time around gay black men or black women who are friends with, like really good friends with gay black men to truly understand that dynamic. Like I haven't spent enough time observing it. So any thought that I could give you on it would just be pure speculation because I remember like maybe the closest thing to a gay black friend I've had was I had a black male coworker who was gay when I was teaching middle school. And what I liked about him is he wasn't too flamboyant. His dress was masculine, right? I knew he was gay, but he just wasn't over the top. And I liked that he knew how to dress, but it was a masculine dress. And we liked to cook, so we would cook. He'd bring something one day, I'd bring something one day. But I genuinely just liked him as a person. It wasn't one of those things where I saw him as some type of accessory or something like that. Hey, D Mally. What's good, Liv and Cha Cha? Hey, what's up? I ain't seen you in a minute, D Mally. Well, you probably ain't seen me in a minute. I'm glad that they spared you, Mariah. Yes, like when I tell you, I've had so many white people, and I'm sure y'all, if you really just sit and think about it, I've had so many white people do things for me that they did not have to do. I've had so many white people give me opportunities that they didn't have to give me. I remember when I was in foster care in high school, uh my my dance teacher got me a scholarship to go dance at this dance studio with Kitty Carter. At that time, she trained the girls that were on the Dallas Cowboys team, cheer team, right? Uh, I didn't pay anything. I remember I had a white teacher who picked me at from all the other students. She only picked 3 students, and at my high school, she picked me and 2 other white kids to go meet the Dalai Lama. And if you don't know who the Dalai Lama is, he's like the Pope, but for Buddhist. Okay. And she picked me out of all these other kids she could have picked to go meet him. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity. I did absolutely nothing to earn that. And then when I got there, I met the dean at SMU University, Southern Methodist University in Dallas. And that man liked my conversation so much that he said, when you graduate, or if you want to come here, you can come here for free. I will make sure you don't pay anything. But you know why I didn't take him up on his offer? Because SMU is a Republican school. It's a Republican private school. And in my mind, I wasn't going to get treated right by these white people. So I didn't go. And to this day, I feel dumb for doing that. I've been pulled over at least 50 times, got gobbled up one time. Yes. And these are like, this is the thing black people will not admit. We like to sit up amongst each other and commiserate about all the times that a white person performed some type of micro aggression to us or we got pulled over, but we never sit and talk about the times where they let us make it. We never sit and talk about the times where they gave us an opportunity. We never sit and talk about the times where they showed us favor. It's like we have to, like, in front of each other, it's just understood that we have to continue with this narrative that they're out to get us. And the problem with that, because it is the problem with that is that you block yourself from opportunity. Going back to what I was saying about not accepting that scholarship to SMU, the reason why I felt like I was inadequate and that I wasn't good enough is because I had heard all the black adults in my life for all of my life tell me that white people were never gonna accept me. that white people hated black people and that white people were out to get black people. The only teacher that truly believed in me was my 11th grade AP English teacher. Was he or she a white person? Damn, offered a scholarly off of convo. She just off of the convo. This man was so impressed with me. He told me I was not going to have to pay for anything. Anything. And I said, no, I don't want to be around these Republican white people. When I was in foster care, the vast majority of scholarships, the vast majority of charity that I received was from white people. It was from white people. White people would give us clothing vouchers to go get clothes from stores. They invited me to several charity events. They invited me to speak at charity events. Um, I had a white social worker who I'm not even gonna hold y'all. In foster care, if you get a black social worker, 9 times out of 10, she gonna let you fall to the system. If you was acting how I was acting in foster care, she gonna let them put you away and throw away the key. My white social worker was not having it. I remember I was on my last straw. I was in juvenile court, and my foster parent lied on me and said that I violated the term of my probation, which it was a complete lie. They put the handcuffs on me and took me behind them doors. I thought it was over, y'all. They put me in a cell. The whole time I'm back there just thinking, oh, it's up for me. I'm gonna be gone away for a long time. They came and got me out. It was like a miracle. The whole time I was in there, my white caseworker was begging the judge to let me go. She was like, I will put her in a new place. I'll put her in a better environment. Like, I'll be responsible for her. Like, she was just saying whatever she needed to say for them to come get me. And when I got my opportunity, I did not fumble. Do you hear me? Um, Even when I think about my experience working for foster care, that's another thing. So I was in foster care and then I worked for a foster care agency. Do y'all get upset when y'all see that a lot of white people adopt black children? And I'm going to tell you the real reason why. Black people don't want to adopt black children. I'm going to say it again. Black people don't want to adopt black children. They want to adopt white children. Black foster parents don't want to adopt black children. They want to adopt white children. I will say that with my whole chest. Very rarely will you see a black foster parent adopt a black child. They prefer white children and then it's Latino children second. I've seen it plenty of times where a foster parent has a house full of black, white, and Latino kids and they only want to adopt the white kids. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. It is the truth. So I'm glad to see this rise in conservatism. And this is not to talk down on my people, right? Because at the end of the day, you're going to experience the most good from the people that you're closest to. Because I've experienced so much good from black people. I want to say that too. I've had so many black women stand by my side. I've had so many black women get me through hard times. I've had black police officers stand in the gap for me. Do y'all understand? I've had black police officers who could have taken me to juvenile when I was a kid, who instead decided to talk to me and let me go. So I've had black people do way more good for me than they've done bad to me. Do y'all understand? But I can say the same thing for white people. I've had white people do way more good for me than they have done bad to me. And I don't understand why we can't acknowledge that. I don't understand why, as a black person, we have to draw these lines of division based on race and not shared values. Because I'll be honest, a lot of the people that's still going hard for the Democrats right now, I don't share no values with them. And it ain't even just coming down to what they agree with politically. I don't like the fact that you're too close-minded to, even if you don't like somebody, you can't admit when they're doing one thing right. I watched that State of the Union address, and Donald Trump gave this little boy entry into the Secret Service. He had cancer, a black boy. He had cancer. Donald Trump made him a part of the Secret Service. And do you know what the Democrats did, including the black ones? They just sat there and didn't say anything. Then later on, they said, oh, it's because Trump was using him as a prop. As if Democrats don't do the same thing. And even if they felt like he was using him as a prop, in that young man's face, you stand up and applaud him. Because how y'all think he feel that you didn't stand up for him? He don't see it as you opposing Donald Trump. He sees it as you're not happy for him. You're not excited for him. And these are people that look like you. Yeah, I'm so tired of the hate. Like, can we not agree on the stuff that's good? I don't like that Elon Musk is finding all of this fraud in Social Security, right? He's finding all this fraud. He found all the fraud in the Pentagon. They're finding all of this fraud, and it's good for us because we pay the taxes. The people who it is especially good for is the middle class because they pay the bulk of the taxes. And instead of the Democrats saying, hey, we want to be the party that supports finding and stopping fraud so that the American taxpayer doesn't have to carry the burden of taking care of other countries, they're making this about Elon Musk. And then on top of that, I could understand if they were making it about Elon Musk, but then saying, but we do support what he's doing and we do want this to get done. We just want somebody else to do it. No, they're not even doing that. They don't want it to get looked into at all. And I don't understand that. Give me a second. So there have been a couple of black conservatives. I remember Candace Owens used to kind of be like one of the only one. But since then on YouTube, I kind of want to put y'all on to a couple people. So there's the Cartier family, and those are brothers. These are all young men, handsome men. They seem like they came from middle class black suburbia, and they make political commentary. You got Aquarius Waves. I really like listening to his channel. And then you got Officer Tatum. Now, Officer Tatum, that's my boy. I ain't even gonna hold you. Now, Officer Tatum used to be a police officer, but he started doing social commentary. Let me put my headphones on. Can y'all hear this rain? Okay, so I'm going to pull this up. Give me one. I know y'all, the commercials. I know.
In a second language. Isn't that crazy?
Wait, why?
Learning a language is hard.
At the presidential address,
So I'm going to react to this live that he did.
it's the joint session, and it warmed my heart. You know, as a former cop, you know, I got a lot of love for that uniform. And so the young man is an honorary police officer, and then this night they made him an honorary Secret Service member. And guess who didn't clap, didn't cheer, or nothing? Guess who? Them Democrats wrote a film.
And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
Do y'all see his face? I don't think he had a clue. I don't even think his father knew. I think they just thought they were getting invited and that they were going to get honored in some way. I didn't think he saw a Secret Service agent coming.
Look at his face. He's like, what? How is this not a celebratory moment? How? How? And everybody that you see standing are Republicans. And on the other side of the Republicans this way are Democrats. And all of them are kneeling or sitting, looking stupid with an egg on their face. Now let's play. I want to play the interview clip. And then I want to show you the nastiness of these dirty Democrats and evil black folks. Yeah, I said it.
Now, Officer Tatum, he be going in. You know, I don't want to talk about them like that. I feel like, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're evil. I would say the programming runs deep. And I feel like a lot of them are well-meaning. But I will say this. Most of the time when you meet people who are too liberal, they're not happy people. And it's not just that they're not happy when it comes to their political situation. It has to do with other areas of their life, right? And I'm saying this because I've been there before. Like when I was at my peak liberalism, like everything is racism, everything is homophobia, everything is anti-immigrant. When I was at that, when I was constantly looking at something to be offended by, when I really think about my relationships with my my romantic partners or with my family or just how I felt about myself, I did not feel good about myself. So it was much easier for me to be very visceral and to look outside of myself and point the finger at other people. And what I'm seeing with the Democrat Party is instead of them doing the internal work on their party right now and trying to weed out that corruption that's there, because they got a lot within their own party that they need to fight. The easier thing to do is to try to focus on Donald Trump. But who finna go up against Nancy Pelosi? I have no respect for anybody who can sit up and be Trump this, Trump that, Trump is bad, Trump is evil, orange man bad, but y'all don't stand up to Nancy Pelosi. The fact that she's still where she is and ain't nobody did nothing about it in that party, that completely negates anything y'all have to say about Donald Trump. Until you're ready to face your own demons that are a part of the uniparty in your own party, y'all don't have nothing to say about Donald Trump because you're a coward. It's easy to talk about your opponent, but what about when you have to check your friends? That's what's hard. That's what takes courage. And I have yet to see the Democrats that are still a part of that party demonstrate that kind of courage and moral fiber.
Some of these evil black folk, y'all should be ashamed. When I show this video, this is a black and brown body. I thought y'all was equity, inclusion, and delusion. I thought y'all was all for this. But a young black kid who Donald Trump honors, y'all throw the man in the trash. I can't stand these Democrats. Somebody asked me, where do you think the Democrat Party is going? I said, I don't know where they're going, but I know it's hot. I know it's hot where they going.
Yeah,
all right,
I don't agree with that.
But you know the craziest part? Because my mom bathes me and my brothers all together. And out of nowhere, I locked up. And then my dad was calling my name, and I started going to the slow thing. And he said, stop playing with me. And I started to act, I ain't gonna lie, I started to act slow. And then as soon as he said that, we was speeding all the way, running lights, going to the hospital. And then next thing you know, I was seizing on the table. They said, no, we're gonna have to go in his brain tonight. Ever since then, I had 13 brain surgeries, and that's how many times my personality has changed. And that's something that you don't hear from a terminally ill child. They had 5 months to live. I'm gonna keep on going until my gas tanks run out. And that's when God calls you home. You never know when God's gonna call you home.
Wow. This young man has wisdom beyond his years. He sounds like somebody pop out, but he's speaking real talk. Like you can tell this is from lived experience. Like he's talking like he's been here before. But going through all of those treatments, we think our lives are hard, but imagine your life is hanging in the balance. So somebody tells you you have 6 months to live. Like imagine the courage that you have to muster up to still face every day and keep going and still hoping. So much respect. And I feel like instead of the Democrats trying to focus on what they felt like Trump was or was not doing right or wrong, they should have just chose to, even if they felt like Trump was using him as a prop, just let him have it. It's some things that don't need to be said out loud. And honestly and truly, there have been so many things, even before Donald Trump was the president, there have been so many Black people who have come out and said that he helped them. I remember watching this dude on the street. He was from New York, and he talked about how his father passed away, and Donald Trump's dad made sure that their tuition was paid for school until they graduated. There have been so many Black women who have said Donald Trump gave me a job or he gave me an opportunity. So we're not gonna pretend like he's just now giving people opportunities. He's been doing it. It's just the media don't highlight it.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad.
And honestly and truly, wealthy people tend to do that. And I know we get upset with them because we feel like they don't pay their fair share in taxes or they don't pay their employees a livable wage. And yes, that is definitely a gripe to have. But when they want to give to charity, they give to charity. And whether it's a write-off or not, they don't have to do it. They don't have to do it. I have a cousin who's old enough to be my uncle, and he has a charity foundation. And when I tell you he does so much good, and I would be so pissed if somebody was to come tell me that the only reason why he does charity is to get a tax write-off, because I know how much he genuinely cares about people. Now, if he can write it off, I'm sure he writes it off. But like that doesn't negate the fact that he's actually doing it out of the kindness of his heart as well. Two things can be true at the same time.
I know he's pretty proud of me, and I'm pretty proud of him too. And I'd like to thank President Trump, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
Du bewirbst dich für diesen tollen Job. Du wartest auf eine Antwort, aber vergebens. Enhansive kann deinen...
Ooh, y'all almost got me. Ooh. I ain't gonna cry on no live stream. Stop it. You better stop it. You a man, boy. No, I'm playing. That was emotional. I got a little something there. Yeah, coming down
I
a
also
little
want
bit.
to say something too. I believe that Officer Tatum is married to a white woman. And I think we need to talk about that. Yes, being a biracial person, I can confirm this. There are Black men who like to date light or white because they absolutely don't like themselves or they think that it's better, right? So yes, those do exist. But then you have the Officer Tatums. If you are a Black man and you think the way that he thinks, most Black women don't want to date you. You're going to constantly be arguing with them over differences in political opinion. Y'all see how they were mad by that little smaller, little bitty percent of Black men who went and voted for Donald Trump. It wasn't even the majority. It wasn't even close to half of Black men that went and voted for Donald Trump. You had a larger percentage than before of Black men who decided they were going to go in a different direction. And Black women was talking about they was going to divorce their husbands. People was calling them coons. So in this situation, who is he supposed to date? Who is he supposed to date? I'm thinking of Tia Mowry. Y'all know, no, Tamara Mowry. She has conservative values. Okay, she gets called a bed wench for her husband, but who is she supposed to date? Honestly and truly, if we are not accepting of diverse thought, if we can only think one way and we only accept one way of thinking, then if you are a Black person, that narrows your dating pool drastically. So you can't get mad at people if you outcast them and then they decide to go date people of other races where they can go around their friends and family and be comfortable without somebody trying to argue with them, call them out their name, act demonic. Like, don't nobody want to deal with that.
Y'all see me cry once. But man, that touched my heart. That just touched my heart. Now, I hope you're sitting down because I'm going to show you how ridiculous these Democrats are. Roll Nicole Wallace clip. After this boy then had such a tremendous opportunity, you heard him speak. What an amazing story, emotional this story is. But the Democrats cannot help themselves but be stupid buttholes. Can I say that? I want to say the other word, but I'm trying to be clean, okay? Roll the clip.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
Can I call her a witch with a B? Can I call her a witch with a B? I really want to call her that. Somebody, y'all do it for me.
That's that nice nasty. Like, you act like you got something good and positive to say, and then like by the end of it, you just done. Really, she should have just stopped at, I hope he lives a long life. Like, she should have stopped there, but then she uses this as an opportunity to bring up January 6th. And when are they going to learn we do not care anymore about January 6th? If you really do your research into all of that, a lot of it was a setup. A lot of those people who got arrested didn't even do anything, didn't even commit any acts of violence. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Right? So it's to the point where America been off that. We don't care. The results of the election should have told these people they don't care. They're going to keep harping on that when we do not care. And I can pull up plenty of videos from recently of Democrats calling for acts of violence in resistance. So if the argument was that Trump instigated it, well, they've been doing a whole lot of instigating as of lately. It's just nothing has come of it.
Pray for you later. Just do it for me. And then say it. I want the atmosphere to hear what I can't say. What a D-bag. A bag of D's. That's what she is. A whole grocery store full of them.
Not a grocery
What
store.
kind of woman will turn a special moment into something stupid that didn't even happen? I hope that he never had to defend the Capitol.
Women like this scare me. If you've ever and I can see it in her eyes, like if you've ever worked with a woman like this, you see the narcissism in her eyes. Like, you see the setup, you see the smile in your face and stab you in the back. You see the jealousy and the envy. Like, I've worked for women like this before. Okay. So these are these nice, nasty heifers that are just soulless, evil.
Well, if y'all wasn't cheating, nobody have to defend the Capitol. If y'all would have, Nancy Pelosi would have had the National Guard show up.
Let's talk about that, because honestly and truly, America didn't turn up enough. Honestly and truly. And I'm saying this as somebody who, during that election, I voted for Bernie Sanders. I'm saying this as somebody who watched them cheat and take it from Bernie in 2016, and then they did it again in 2020. So I was on the Democrat side watching this happen in real time. So I already knew before the general election came that they be cheating. Then when I remember watching the election after Bernie lost. I didn't care either which way. A part of me was upset with the Democratic Party, but again, at that time, I really, all I knew is things were cool under Donald Trump, but I didn't necessarily support him. Like if Bernie Sanders would have been the nominee for the Democratic Party, I would have went and voted for Bernie Sanders, right? I would have preferred him over Donald Trump at the time. Now I feel like that was foolish because Bernie is spineless, right? And I've seen that over these past years, right? I started noticing it during that primary when they was dragging him through the mud and he wouldn't say anything about it because he want to be everybody's friend, right? But I remember going to sleep and Donald Trump was like whooping Joe Biden and waking up, and it was like I woke up in a different timeline, right? And this is all because of those mail-in ballots. Like, trust and believe, this wouldn't have even went down the way it went down had it not been for COVID. And mail-in ballots are illegal in many countries because it is well known that that is used as a method to cheat, that you do not trust mail-in ballots. I don't even believe that expats like myself living overseas should be able to vote via mail. Like, I stand on that. Like, I'm principled on that. So yeah, in my opinion, Democrats ain't never turned up enough during them primary. Democrats, honestly and truly, we should have been turning up during the 2016 primary and the 2020 primary, but didn't. Democrats should have been turning up when they said that Joe Biden couldn't run anymore and they put Kamala Harris in place. That's when people should have been turning up and checking their own party, but they did it. So I really don't want to hear anything else about January 6th. It's over. It's done.
We wouldn't have this problem. And also, which person would he be in the Capitol? The dude running through the Capitol building with nobody touching him or nothing? Or the guy standing out to the side when Ashley Babbitt broke through the window? He just standing like this. Which Capitol Police officer are you talking about? And to take his life and man, nobody killed themselves over the Capitol building.
Right. Just
quit being nobody. That's stupid. They act like this was 9/11.
This one thing I don't like about the Democrats as well. Y'all know how like you be in a relationship with somebody that's toxic and you want to break up with them, and they be like, you breaking up with them, you trying to break up with them, and they text you talk about some, I'm gonna unalive myself, right? Like, okay, if you told any therapist that, or if you told anybody in a position of authority that was going on, they would say that you were being emotionally abused. Am I tripping? Okay. Now, the Democratic Party constantly uses the threat of people unaliving themselves and deleting themselves to get us to do what we want them to do. Prime example is with the transgenders. If we don't actually believe they're men and women like they say they are, then they're going to go unalive themselves. So we have to go along with what they say, or else we're transphobic and they're going to go unalive themselves and we're evil. Like, there's this constant emotional abuse that happens with the Democrats to get people to fall into line with what they think. And we're tired of it. We're over it. People don't have to agree with you. People are going to say things that are going to hurt your feelings. And people cannot tiptoe and walk on eggshells for the rest of their lives just because you are easily offended, or just because you don't want to accept certain realities, or just because you can't handle truth. So when I say that a line is being drawn between Black conservatives and Black liberals, what I really mean by that is not that we can't come together, but a lot of Black conservatives don't want to hear that mess no more. Me personally, I'm not allowing people to sit up and spew certain rhetoric in my presence anymore, and it goes unchallenged, right? Because I just want to sit there and not say nothing, because I know that if I tell the truth, you gonna fly off the handle, you gonna act crazy, you gonna get emotional. Because here's the thing, 9 times out of 10, you can't whoop me. I'm just keeping it real. So get as emotional as you want to get.
7. If it was 9/11, I say, yeah, man, that was traumatic. Thousands of people died, people jumping out the building and hitting the ground, burning alive, screaming, people still dying from cancer and all kind of other stuff. Not January 6th, man, I done been in fights crazier than that. And then let's go beyond that. Most people were just scrolling around like idiots in the Capitol building doing nothing. Most people. It was a scruffle, okay? Some people got injured a little bit. Now, let me say that they got hurt. They didn't get injured. They got hurt. But this wasn't what they tried to make it out to be, as if this was like literally, they finished the vote the same day. Shut the front door. Trying to push that bull crap.
You know
all right,
what's
let's
crazy?
go to Rachel Maddow.
And this is why I say, like, people don't really know history like that. They've tried to paint this out to be the darkest day. And I've literally heard Democrats say that this is the darkest day in American history. And I'm like, really? It was darker than Pearl Harbor? Did you forget we had a whole Civil War? Did you forget that before the Civil War, senators were literally in the Capitol building throwing hands like they was having duels? Like, come on, like that ain't nothing. If you really know American history, that ain't nothing close to the darkest day in American history. But they want to keep harping on that little bitty scruffle. Tired of it.
The second dumbest woman of the day. Look at what this bald head scallywag got to say. She just looked like. Let me not say that.
He
Can y'all
be
pray
getting
for
on
me?
Rachel Maddow.
She looked like she drive a Subaru. And she looked like her armpits are hairy. And she smelled like Funyuns. And looked like a lady and her be on top of each other at night. That's what she looked like to me.
No, don't do that.
Nasty, smelling like vinegar and Funyuns and potato chips and got nasty toenails. That's what she looked like to me. Just
Why
a
he be going
nasty
so
one.
hard?
Ain't took a bath in 3 days. Don't even use a wash rag. Breath smell like. Let me not say that. Should I not say it? Y'all want me to say it, or should I keep it to myself? I'll keep it to myself. All right, roll Rachel.
For the record, and this is disgusting, the president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who thus far survived pediatric cancer, as if the president had something to do with that. This was in the midst of him praising Doge. The Doge cuts, among other things, have cut off funding for ongoing.
And here's the thing. Donald Trump didn't say nothing about him having anything to do with him surviving cancer. All the glory went to the young man. All the glory went to the young man, right? And again, I can't judge Donald Trump's in true intentions behind that. What I will say is it's normal for presidents to do stuff like this, right? He ain't the first one to honor somebody in front of the world. It's normal for presidents to do stuff like this, right? And anytime Joe Biden did something that truly was positive, I don't remember us going so hard. I don't even remember Republicans going so hard. Me personally, I know a lot of Republicans don't believe in student loan forgiveness, especially the ones who didn't go to college. They felt like at 18 years old that you should have been financially educated and mature enough to not take out student loans, which to me, that's crazy. I will concede that. That's crazy for Republicans to think that. But I remember at the very least thinking that that is the one good thing that Joe Biden's administration did, is that and I didn't even get my loans forgiven, but I know several teachers who woke up one morning and their student loan balance was zero, right? And he probably would have forgiven more student loans had it not been blocked by the court. I can acknowledge that was a good thing. Honestly and truly. Honestly, I wish he would have forgiven more student loans before his term was up, even if it was to get more votes. Being mentally ill is not being able to give credit where credit is due. If you got to take issue with every little thing, even every positive thing, you need to go get your head checked. Because ain't no reason why every little thing should be a problem. Now that just leads me to believe you're a miserable person. And that's what I'm saying. I'm starting to think that liberalism is a mental illness at this point. And again, I'm saying this for those of y'all who are just now coming in, y'all hit that like button. I'm saying this as somebody who was once liberal to the extreme. There was nobody more liberal than me. And when I think about my mental state at that time, I was depressed. I would be sleeping in bed for days. I would be going back and forth. This is when I was in college. I'd be done taking my test or whatever. I'd be going back and forth all day with people on Facebook arguing, all in the comment section arguing, getting mad because I seen a white girl put some braids in her hair. That don't got nothing to do with me and the money that I'm making. Getting upset because I see a black man with a black woman. And honestly and truly, it don't even be black. It wouldn't even be nobody I would even want to date. So now I'm just sitting up here mad for no reason, mad with my mad ass. So I know firsthand that mentality comes with mental illness. Like, it comes with you having other unaddressed issues in your life that you don't want to focus on. And what I noticed is the more I began to focus on me, the more I began to meditate, the more I began to worry about what I was doing in my own personal life versus what everybody else was doing, the less I stopped caring about racism, the less I stopped thinking all white people were out to get me, the more I started thinking about things from an economic perspective versus a race perspective. Like, the more I healed as a person, the more I started leaning conservative. The happier I became, the less I started to argue with people. Y'all seen people put crazy stuff in my chat, or if you go back on some of the comments on my videos, when I tell you I don't care, it don't penetrate my heart at all. I do not care. But if you take it back to liberal me, I would have been all up in my feelings about what these people I don't know have to say, because I was miserable. These people are miserable is what I'm trying to tell you. It don't have nothing to do with who's in office. They was going to be miserable regardless, because they want to control everything. They want to control how other people think, feel, and see the world. And anytime they're not able to control that, they feel out of control with themselves. That's the problem. That's the problem with these liberals, I'm telling you.
Research into pediatric cancer.
It's hot. It's hot where she going. It's hot. I heard it's real hot. All you gotta do is read the Bible. It's real hot down there. I think they call it the Lake of Fire or something. I don't know, but that's people like this.
Not the Lake of Fire.
I would always wonder. Y'all hear me talk about this all the time. I always wonder why would God send people to a burning place in eternity? That's very cruel to do. And then I see people like Rachel Maddow and that Nicole idiot and these Democrats, and I'm like, oh, it makes sense to me. You got to be a wicked, evil, nasty person to get on television that you know are broadcasted to innocent people who are listening to you for impartial information, and you sit there with your lying, nasty self, and you just make up a story because you hate this man, and you don't care what it does to the people, you don't care what it does to the country, but your hatred towards a man for no good reason, it's all made up. Can we all get on the same page? It's made up. You would never find a clip of Rachel Maddow saying nothing bad about Donald Trump before he ran as a Republican.
Facts, man. Facts. Let me tell you something. Let me exit out of this. Donald Trump been saying the same things for years. You can go back to when Donald Trump was just doing the real estate thing, a real estate tycoon, and he was hanging around all these rappers. He was doing interviews on Oprah. Like, he's been saying the exact same things for years. He might have switched around like which party he's supporting, but the policies have always been the same. He's been speaking up for years. Like, you can go back and watch interviews from the 80s. But everybody wanted to be around Donald Trump. Everybody wanted to go to a Trump party. Everybody wanted to go to Trump Towers. Everybody wanted to be at Mar-a-Lago. Everybody wanted to play golf with Trump. All the rappers wanted to talk about Trump in his. He's been saying the same things. Standing on the same policies, standing on the same business. I remember Oprah doing an interview with him. He was saying a lot of the same things. She didn't check him in and act like he was the most evil person in America then. Nobody was checking him when he was speaking out on his opinions then. Let me tell you something. I didn't never too much when Donald Trump ran the first time. I was programmed, again, I was a liberal. I was programmed to not like him. So I thought he was a racist and the worst person. And here's the thing. I was only watching these clips that were on MSNBC, like what Rachel Maddow puts out. That's what he's talking about. People who don't want us to come together and don't want to give the full story and don't want you to make fair and conscious decisions. People who want to paint a narrative for you. The second time he ran, my common sense just let me know not to be too emotional about it because we have been fine the last 4 years. The Democratic Party, once I realized that they were evil, and I'm not talking about the regular people, the citizenry, I'm talking about the people that run the party. Once I realized that they were evil, then that made me think, well, what is Donald Trump saying? They're evil. We know they don't want to go for what's right. We know they don't want to go for what's good. Why are they going so hard on Donald Trump? There must be a reason. And then that's when I started listening to him. Then that's when I started going back and pulling the evidence, doing my research on January 6th, re-listening to all those interviews in their entirety that the Democrats would chop up and use for a soundbite. And I was like, they've been lying to me the whole time. None of that stuff they said was true. And this goes back to me saying that a hard line is being drawn between Black Democrats and Black conservatives. Because now that we see the truth, we don't care about the judgment anymore. And not only do we not care about the judgment, we're not finna just let you sit up and emotionally try to bully us into saying, oh, we're not a part of the culture, or emotionally bully us into being on your side when you don't even have the facts. Emotionally bullying us into being quiet because we don't want to be accepted. I don't care who doesn't accept me. The vast majority of people who sit up and talk about me based on my political beliefs, they would not last 2 minutes in a debate with me, period. So why should I care what you have to say? I was listening to Candace Owens talking to Stephen A. Smith, and she was saying, like, he said, I feel like you're disgusted with Black people because people have said that we do everything based on emotion and we're falling into that trope, right? And she said, I'm not disgusted, I'm frustrated. And I understood her sentiments very well. There have been, you can go back, there have been plenty of, back in the day, white people used to write about how Black people are an emotional creature. All you have to do is stir up a feeling in us, and we're going to bust a move in behind a feeling. This new Black conservative is saying no more. I'm not going to let you use my emotions against me. I'm not going to let you use my affinity for my people against me anymore. I'm going to start thinking with logic. I'm going to start doing my research. I'm going to get all the facts before I make a judgment. And I can stand here and say right now, any Black person, I love y'all, but any Black person, be they friend, family, or foe, or associate that has an issue with me making my opinions based on the facts, to hell with you. Because I'm not going to walk around and be stupid and ignorant to appease your feelings. Those days are over. With that said, guys, I will be back tomorrow at the lunch hour at 12:30. Thank you for everybody that showed up. Y'all hit the like button on the way out, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Goodbye.